If you're into computers, you've probably heard the phrases free as in free beer and free as in free speech. This is referring to the two types of free software licenses. Free as in free beer means freeware or software that's freely available, but it might have a restrictive license. Some examples of this include Google Chrome, Adobe Reader, and WhatsApp. Free as in speech refers to software that gives you more liberty with what you can do with the software. This is sometimes known as Libre or open source software. Open source software not only lets you download and run the software however you like, you can also inspect the source code and even repackage the software into your own new software distribution. Some examples of open source software include Ubuntu Linux, VLC Media Player, and Firefox. Much of the web is powered by open source or Libre software. And even some software that is not open source is actually based on open source software. Things like Google Chrome, macOS, and Android are all based on open source software, yet they're not open source themselves. As a nerd, I love the idea of open source software. I used to run Linux on my main laptop, and there are many open source programs that I still use on a regular basis. However, just because something's open source does not make it the primary reason that I'm going to choose a particular piece of software. Sure, I'd love to run the GIMP and Inkscape over Photoshop and Illustrator, but I interface with professionals who run the Adobe products on a regular basis, so it makes sense for me to purchase the Adobe license as well. I run Microsoft Edge as my browser because I think it's the best browser on Mac. Even though it's based on open source underpinnings, the license itself is proprietary. You heard that right, Microsoft makes the best browser. And I don't run Linux as a desktop OS anymore. Macs just work more than Windows PCs, and especially more than Linux PCs. Spending half a day trying to fix something with a command line is not a good use of time. Think about it this way. If you were to give your grandparents a computer, which one would it be? For me, it would be the one that's easiest to use and most reliable. The ability to redistribute the software is low on the list of priorities. My workflow of choice is a Mac running software like Microsoft Edge, Adobe Photoshop, and Microsoft Word. The time savings and ability to interface with others more easily more than makes up for the cost and the fact that the license is a tad restrictive. I have a lot of respect for the open source community, and I hope it continues to grow. But the products I choose to use in my professional day-to-day workflow are largely not free as in speech. They're free as in time. Thanks so much, and I hope you have a great day.